Hello, welcome to the lecture number 24 of the course Quantum Mechanics and Molecular Spectroscopy. Okay. Now, in the several classes we were looking at the transition moment integral and its relation to other quantities such as Einstein's A coefficient, B coefficient and the absorption spectrum through Peer-Lambert law. But from now onwards I am going to take a slightly different turn, okay, and try to get to the selection rules. Okay. Now, if you go back quite a few classes, okay, then we came across this equation which I will write it down as probability of transition P of t to state f is given by E naught square divided by 4 h bar square omega Fi by omega square, okay, sine square delta omega by 2 into t divided by delta omega by 2 square modulus of f mu dot E I square, and we remember we called it as transition moment integral. Okay. Now, it turns out that Pf of t is proportional to your transition moment integral square. So, what are you doing here? You are going from a state I to state f. Okay. And we also related all this to Einstein's A coefficient, Einstein B coefficient and the extinction coefficient through Beer-Lambert law. We also looked at the line shapes. Okay. All these experimental quantities could be related to this. Now, it turns out that if I slightly rewrite, so in the vicinity of omega Fi, okay, that means what I am doing is omega Fi is approximately equal to omega. That means you will have a transition only when there is a resonance. Okay. So, in that scenario one can rewrite this equation P f of t. So, when you have omega Fi is equal to omega, I can ignore this term. So, I will get this will be equal to E naught square by 4 h bar square sine of delta omega by 2 into t divided by delta omega by 2 square into f mu dot epsilon I square. Okay. Now, we know this function is the line shape. Okay, it determines the line shape. Okay. Now, what we have, of course, all these are non-zeros. So, the selection will be allowed or not is given by this integral. Okay. So, one can write transition moment integral Tmi is equal to f mu dot epsilon I. Okay. This is my transition moment integral, and whether the transition from 1 to 2 or f to I will be allowed or not will depend on this integral. If this integral is 0, the transition is forbidden. If this is 0, then it is forbidden. This is not equal to 0, then you have allowed. and 0 not equal to 0, they combine what is known as selection rules. Okay. Now what we will do in this lecture is to look at this operator mu. Okay. Now let us think of a molecule AB. Okay. So the two atoms A and B are combined, okay, and A and B, because they are not the same, so there will be, say, let us say delta plus and delta minus. So you have a dipole. And if the distance, equilibrium distance is R naught. So for example, if you have a AB molecule, one can draw a potential energy surface like this. That is the 0 of energy and the distance goes to infinity asymptotically. Okay. Now what I am trying to do is that, of course, if you go from here to say here, there is a huge change in the geometry or the bond distance that it spans. So one can always think that the moments are not, so one is looking at around the equilibrium position. If you look at around the equilibrium geometry, one can write mu as a Taylor series expansion. Okay. So what I will write, mu is equal to mu naught plus d mu by dr evaluated R naught into R plus d mu d square mu by dr square evaluated R naught into R square plus d cube mu by dr cube evaluate at evaluated at R naught into R cube plus etc. etc. Okay. One can write a Taylor series. Now let us look at it in a slightly more useful way. So the dipole moment mu is a Taylor series expansion, some fixed constant, plus d mu by dr at R naught multiplied by R plus 1 over 2 factorial d square mu by dr square R naught into R square plus 1 over 3 factorial d square mu by d R cube evaluated R naught plus R cube plus etc. So this is how I can write my mu as a Taylor series expansion around the equilibrium geometry, and this mu naught is the permanent dipole. And what is d mu by dr? How the dipole moment changes with respect to R. Okay, it is the first derivative, and you have second derivative. So one can write it as mu is equal to mu naught plus alpha dot R plus 1 over 2 beta R square plus 1 over 6 gamma R cube etc. etc. where alpha equals to d mu by dr evaluated at r naught, beta is nothing but d square mu by dr square evaluated at r naught, and gamma equals to d square. Actually one could take even the constants into the, so when if I write this as half, then I can delete this, and if I delete this, then one can write 1 over 6 d square mu by d r cube. Okay. So, one can write such equation. So, this is your permanent dipole, this is the first derivative of mu, this is the second derivative coefficient and the third derivative coefficients. Okay. So, this is how one can write in terms of Taylor series expansion. So, therefore, your TMI around the equilibrium geometry is given by F times mu naught plus alpha dot r plus beta r square plus gamma r cube plus etc., etc. So, this is the transition moment that we need to evaluate. Okay. When I say dipole moment, it is basically linear combination of permanent dipole moment and its derivative at various levels of various degrees with respect to r. Okay. So, this is the transition moment integral that I need to consider. So, one can write, therefore, one can write T m I is equal to F mu naught plus alpha r plus beta r cube plus gamma beta r square plus gamma r cube beta r square plus gamma r cube plus. So, that is the transition moment integral I am interested in. Okay. Now, let us look at this equations 5. Okay. So, what are my solutions? So, what are my solutions? I said H naught into I is equal to E I and H naught into F is equal to E F. Okay. What are my H naught? H naught is the Hamiltonian for which I know the solutions. So, E and E F are the eigenvalues of the functions, eigenfunctions I and F. Okay. Now, what is H naught? That is the thing that we have to figure out. Okay. In this course from up till now we have never bothered what is the H naught. H naught we just assume is some Hamiltonian for which we know the solutions, and once we know the solutions we can evaluate the transition moment integral, and that transition moment integral can be related to various experimentally measurable quantities. But right now we have not even thought about what the H naught could be. Now, if you write the entire molecular Hamiltonian, which I am going to write, so H molecule, okay. So, H naught molecule is nothing but minus H bar square by 2 sum over alpha del square alpha by m alpha, that is the kinetic energy of the nuclei where alpha is its index, minus H bar square by 2 me sigma over I del square I. So, I is the index on the electrons. So, the kinetic energy of all the electrons minus attraction between the nucleus and all the electrons. So, this will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught sum over alpha sum over I z alpha E square by r alpha I. So, that is the distance between the electron and the nucleus. Then you have a nuclear repulsion. So, that is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught sum over alpha sum over beta greater than alpha z alpha z beta E square by r alpha beta, that is the nuclear repulsion, because alpha and beta are two nucleus and you do not want to count the repulsion between the same nucleus, that is why alpha is not equal to beta. And then you have to have only one if alpha is if nucleus 1 is repelling 2 nucleus 2. So, it is same as nucleus 2 repelling nucleus 1. So, to make sure that you do not repeat the terms, use this kind of notation plus similarly with the electron 4 pi epsilon naught sum over I sum over j greater than I E square by r I j. So, we have 5 terms. So, this is Ke of nucleus, Ke of nuclei, this is Ke of electrons, this is nothing but Pe of electrons and nucleus, that is attraction, this is what Pe of nucleus to nucleus, that is repulsion, and this is nothing but your Pe of E, that is nothing but electron repulsion. H naught, okay, of molecule multiplied by psi, now which is a function of electrons and nucleus, okay, should be equal to E n psi, which is function of electrons and nucleus. Okay. Now, it turns out that this is not a possible solution. So, what we do is what we use something called Born-Oppenheimer approximation. Okay. This approximation says that the total wave function psi of electrons and nucleus can be separated as chi of nucleus and phi of electrons parametrically dependent on nuclei, and the total Hamiltonian H naught can be written as H nuclei plus H electrons. Okay. Now, it turns out that when I look at H nucleus, okay, the H nucleus, even though is this H nucleus, the total energy is equal to H nucleus chi nucleus, okay, will give you E nucleus chi nucleus, but the total energy E is nothing but E n plus E electron. But you see the phi V. So, now if you have H electron acting on phi electron, and that is parametrically depends on nucleus. What does parametrically depend on nucleus means? For every different nuclear position, the Hamiltonian of the electrons will be different, give a different solution. So, that will nothing but E plus phi. So, this E also depends on nucleus because the wave function itself. So, if you take the total energy or the nuclear energy is just not the repulsion, but it also kind of has the electronic component into it, and that is called potential energy. Okay. So, so when you have Pe, that is nothing but you have E in nucleus plus E electron. Okay. So, what you do is you can make a potential surface, okay, that is E. So, that depends on how the electrons and the nuclei are arranged as a function of distance. Okay. Now, now one of the issues that we have is the following. So, when you have total wave function, okay, which is when the total wave function psi of E comma n is nothing but chi of n into phi of E and parametrically depend on n. Okay. Now, this is my total solution, okay, and of course, it will have its own quantum numbers. So, what I am looking at is the following, okay. I am starting from a final function f. Now, this f function, okay, could be written as the following. Chi nucleus phi electron nucleus, some all of this having some quantum number, let us say A, B, C, or I will call it as A prime, B prime, C prime. I will come to what these are, okay, and this multiplied by your mu dot E multiplied by function I, which I will call it as chi n phi E to n having quantum numbers A, B, C. Okay. So, what I am trying to do here, I am going from a single wave function, initial wave function which will have quantum number A, B, C, and these quantum number could involve the nuclear quantum numbers or quantum numbers related to the nuclear motion and the quantum numbers related to the electronic motion, and with some values A, B, C, and I am going from there and changing my quantum numbers to A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay. Now, what I am trying to do is the following. I am going from one set of electronic and nuclear coordinates to a different set of electronic and nuclear coordinates, and this transition is brought about by this operator. So, now we can think of it this way. So, this operator is really complicated in some sense, is that chi n phi n E n whole thing of A prime, B prime, C prime, mu naught plus r plus beta r square plus gamma r cube multiplied by chi n to phi E n whole thing of A, B, C. So, I am looking at such a transition moment integral. Okay. So, when I take the total wave function, okay. So, this is how we are going to look at this transition moment integral, but of course, the way it is written, it is almost impossible to solve. So, we have to make right approximations to be able to solve this transition moment integral, evaluate the transition moment integral and look at the selection rules, which we will continue in the next lecture. Thank you.